15 days. That's how long Brian Kelsey, Georgetown-educated attorney, Tennessee state senator, chairman of the Senate Judiciary Committee, spent in federal prison after being convicted of conspiracy to defraud the United States and violating the federal election law. 15 days. Then Donald Trump signed a pardon and he walked out. In the same state, in the same court system, at roughly the same time, a black Democratic state senator named Katrina was convicted of wire fraud. The amount she misappropriated, $3,500. She was expelled from the Tennessee Senate, the first expulsion in the state's history. She paid a $46,000 fine. She lost her career. Brian Kelsey illegally funneled $91,000 through a dark money scheme to cheat a federal election. He pleaded guilty. He served 15 days. He was pardoned. And within weeks of his release, he was back in the Tennessee State House lobbying lawmakers.
Senator Brian Kelsey is now allowed to practice law again. The Tennessee Supreme Court reinstated him after he served time in federal prison for conspiracy to defraud the U.S.
This is the story of how two politicians committed two crimes in the same state, and what happened to each of them tells you everything you need to know about who this system protects. Who he is. By the time Brian Kelsey decided to run for Congress in 2016, he was already one of the most influential conservative politicians in Tennessee. He had spent more than a decade in the state legislature. He chaired the Senate Judiciary Committee, the committee that oversees civil and criminal law, judicial proceedings, and the very legal process he would later try to manipulate to escape his own conviction. He had successfully amended the state constitution 3 times. He was an attorney. He knew exactly what the law said. He knew exactly what he was doing when he broke it. He was also deeply connected to the national conservative infrastructure. In 2016, Kelsey decided to run for Tennessee's 8th congressional district. He ran hard. He raised money, and when the money he had raised through legal channels was not enough to fund the campaign he wanted, he built a machine to get more. Illegally. What he did. Federal campaign finance law exists for one reason, so voters can see where a candidate's money comes from. When a candidate accepts illegal contributions or hides the source of their funding, they are not just breaking a rule. They are stealing information from voters who are supposed to be making an informed decision. Federal law prohibits candidates from transferring state campaign money into a federal race. Kelsey had $106,000 sitting in his state Senate campaign account. He wanted it in his congressional race. He could not move it directly, so he moved it indirectly. He transferred the money from his state campaign account to a PAC controlled by his friend Joshua Smith. Smith's PAC then transferred the money to the American Conservative Union. The ACU filed false reports with the Federal Elections Commission, claiming the ads were independent expenditures. They were not. They were illegally coordinated campaign contributions, disguised through a 3-step money laundering chain. The total amount illegally funneled? $91,000. He pleaded guilty in November of 2022, then immediately tried to take it back. How he got the pardon.
President Trump has issued a pardon to former state Senator Brian Kelsey just 15 days after he began serving a 21-month sentence.
Brian Kelsey submitted his pardon petition to the Trump White House approximately 1 month after Trump's inauguration. His petition, relayed through his attorney, made a single argument. The Biden DOJ had weaponized the justice system against a conservative, and he needed help. The organization that had coordinated the illegal ad campaign at the center of Kelsey's conviction is chaired by Matt Schlapp, a prominent Trump ally and one of the most recognizable faces at every CPAC conference. A CPAC spokesman issued a statement saying they were particularly pleased that Kelsey had been pardoned. The man who ran the scheme was pardoned. The organization that executed the scheme, filing false FEC reports, coordinating illegal expenditures, lying to federal regulators, walked away without a charge. And its chairman's closest political ally signed the pardon. Why it was controversial. Voters deserve to know who is funding candidates' campaigns. Kelsey's scheme was designed specifically to prevent that. The pardon does not change what he did. It changes whether anyone has to answer for it. Campaign finance law is not a technical bureaucratic rule. It is the mechanism by which voters know who is trying to buy their elected officials. The pardon arrived not at the end of the lengthy formal clemency review. It arrived 15 days into a 21-month sentence, submitted through a petition filed 1 month after inauguration.
Kelsey posted on X, in part, "God used Donald Trump to save me. This afternoon, I received a full and unconditional pardon from an act that even my chief accuser admitted I did not commit.
Collateral damage. Collateral damage of this pardon extends beyond what Kelsey did. It extends to what the pardon reveals about who the justice system protects. Meet Katrina was a Democratic state senator from Memphis, a black woman who had built a career as a healthcare educator. In 2020, federal prosecutors charged her with conspiracy to commit wire fraud and money laundering. The total amount she was found guilty of misappropriating, $3,500. Her Republican colleagues voted to expel her from the Tennessee Senate. The first time in Tennessee history a state senator had been expelled. She lost her seat, she lost her career, she did not receive a presidential pardon. Now place those two cases side by side. Katrina, black, Democrat, convicted of misappropriating $3,500, expelled from Senate, career destroyed. Brian Kelsey, white, Republican, convicted of illegally funneling $91,000 to a dark money chain to cheat a federal election. Served 15 days, pardoned. Back in the State House, lobbying within weeks of his release. And the disparity between those outcomes is also a fact. Documented, verifiable, side-by-side fact that the state of Tennessee produced, and that a presidential pardon made permanent. Katrina Robinson has not received a pardon. There is no indication she has been offered one. She was expelled from her seat while Brian Kelsey, in months after his pardon, was calling Tennessee senators on the phone asking them to pass legislation that would let him use his state campaign account, which still held over $180,000. The system did not treat these people the same way, and presidential pardon ensured it never would. 15 days. That is what 21 months in federal prison looks like when you have the right political connections, the right party affiliation, and the right allies in the right places. Brian Kelsey called it an act of God. The Campaign Legal Center called it a failure of accountability. This is episode 5 of Pardoned. Subscribe, because this list is long, and the pattern is becoming very clear.